Business Brain, episode 598 for Wednesday, November 13th, National Hug a Musician Day 2024. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take an idea or three, we crunch it, we dissect it, we analyze it, we use it to tune our business brains each and every time we get together. Sponsors for today's episode include LegalZoom.com, where promo code BBSHOW gets you 10% off any business formation product with some asterisks. And Notion.com/businessbrain is where you can go to try that out for free today. We will go more in depth on that in a little bit. For now, here, as usual, in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And out here in Northern California, I'm Shannon Jean. And we have a guest today, Dave.
We do. Yeah. Erica Beth Levin from Global reached out to us. And your story, Erica, is so interesting to me. I don't want to say unique, but it might be unique. That it was a no-brainer to make sure we found a time to get you on the show. So, Erica, thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is cool. I'm looking at your site, like anybody who has a little kid, like, prevent picky eating, open the flavor window, inspire. So tell us, just start from the start. How did you get the idea for this, and also, to take action to actually create this from nothing? Tell us about that.
Yeah, big question, right? And like you said on the website, it's basically trying to fix all these fears that parents have. Having a picky eater is a very universal fear for parents, I think. No one wants to go to a restaurant or not be able to go to a restaurant or go and not be able to find anything for their kids to eat, or have a bag full of, PBJ pies, which is what I used to have to make, like cut them out into little pies.
Yes.
So yeah, I just have a very picky first kid, and I was very hesitant to give him texture, flavor, spice, as he was eating his first solids. And so with our daughter, we just said, you know what, we don't want to make that mistake again. My son has been eating probably chicken nuggets, a piece of Havarti cheese, and raspberries for dinner every night for the last 5 years. I mean,
Exactly.
It is
I got it.
painful. And so our daughter, we gave her coconut curry as her very first food because that's what we were having that night. And I'm like, people all over the world, they don't go buy frozen chicken fingers. They don't go buy frozen, like pizza. They feed their kids what it is that they're eating. What are we doing here? And so that's kind of how we got the start with our daughter. And she loved it, by the way, because why wouldn't she, right? It tastes amazing, especially after only having eaten breast milk or formula. And so we just kept giving her all the food. We gave her saffron that week, like all the flavor. And she just kept eating it and loving it. So I realized, we're on to something here. I introduced her to allergens early, both of them actually, because I wasn't messing around with.
Big deal.
And I just realized that all over the world, kids are just eating food that's chock full of allergens. And they're not stripped out.
It's just how it is.
So smart. So
Yeah.
smart.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, and they don't have the food allergies that we do here. I'm not saying it's totally non-existent, but it is far, far, far less.
So that's okay. So
makes
that's,
sense. Yeah.
So I get
we fed our daughter shellfish during her first year, and then
Peanut
found
butter
out
stuff.
that you shouldn't have. But it was like, well,
Oops.
it worked. It's all good. Yeah.
Yeah. Then she's fine, right? Of course.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that I get, like, okay, we're going to do this or that, but the step from, okay, I'm making this for my kid to now I'm going to create a business. It's a massive step. Where did the impetus and the discipline to take that next step come from?
Ooh, I mean, I was nervous because I've never done a product. I will say I'm a kind of a serial founder, though. I am on my third company. So I had said after the last company, I'm not building another company again. Unless
famous
I am
last words.
That's a lie.
No, I need stability.
Never happens.
Famous last words, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I'm not convinced that being an employee is stability either, though.
No, it's not. You're right. No. Job security today is not, it's really not there either. So, do what makes you happy and what makes you feel like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that's what I said with this company. I said, whatever comes next, it has to be something I'm basically absolutely called to do. It has to mean everything to me. I have to be super passionate about it. Otherwise, I don't want to do it again.
Yep.
And, but this was that company. And I think a lot of it came from being inspired by my own children, like that really deep rooted passion, my passion for all things food. I mean, everything I've ever done in my life since I was 21 years old has been somewhat in or around food. And so there's just so much. And it was also during a time, COVID time and quarantine where you can't leave your house. So how do I bring the world to my kids, right? I don't want them thinking this is it,
Sure.
And so we were able to do that through food. And food is just such a huge part of my family traditions. And we're Jewish and Italian. And so, basically we're all crazy, but love food. So, being able to, tell the stories about our family through food and, continue certain traditions through food, like it all meant a lot to us. And so, well, here we are.
Yeah, that's great. And so what were some of the first steps you did on this journey to see if it was even viable to start a food, business?
Yes.
And how did you go about that?
So I knew a few things. I knew that I knew how to do like the foundational basics of building a company. I can raise money. I can write a plan. I know how to market, but I didn't know how to create a product, obviously, nor did I know that I'd be, calling overseas to try to find glass jars with the proper, there's all this language I didn't know before. It's like 5/8 inch lug neck gold cap. What? I didn't. So, just a lot of things I didn't know. So the smartest thing I think I did was really surround myself by people that know it better than I do. And just having been in the startup world for so long, I did have a lot of connections to people that even if they weren't in CPG or didn't know, consumer goods, they knew someone that did. And so I was able to really surround myself with a very, very strong advisory board. And it wasn't hard to sell it because the idea made sense to so many people. Like, why are we feeding our kids differently than everywhere else in the world? Why aren't they eating what we eat? Why are we stripping the food into, mushy purees that are stripped of allergens, texture, flavor, spice in single-use plastic pouches? Why is that what we're doing?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
It made sense to a lot of people. So it was easy to kind of have those conversations and start to move forward.
That's great. I love it.
Absolutely amazing. And what were your other businesses before this? Just so people can understand kind of your. I'm
definitely an accidental entrepreneur. I did not intend to do any of this, but my first company was an online magazine for women, and this was pre-digital publications. I mean, there might have been a digital component that was, augmenting the hard copy, right? But nothing was fully online yet. And I created basically a guide to Chicago for people like me, single cosmopolitan women that wanted to know how to take advantage of their city, maybe meet other women and make friends. And so we were able to take this online community offline and garner some amazing, advertisers through that because they were able to reach this woman from a 360-degree angle, right? Online, through our newsletter, and then offline at real world events. And so that was an 8-year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, so it was good. And then I was tapped to launch and run the Chicago market for a new startup. So I didn't found it, but I was one of the founding employees.
It's not altogether different when
not at all. No stability.
Right. Yes. Same. Exactly. Yes. Same problem. Yeah. Interesting.
So I did that. And that was a restaurant technology system. So reservation system. And that actually was called Reserve. It sold to Resi. So it was an interesting experience to kind of work for a venture-backed business and then also see it through, to kind of the end. And then I had my baby when I was working at this, venture-backed startup. There was never a woman at the company to have a baby, right? It was so new. And we were all navigating that together. And I just, after being out until 10, 11 o'clock at night, schmoozing as like an 8 and 9 month pregnant woman, I was like, I'm done. Like, let me stay home for a little bit and figure out what comes next. And so it was as if like the stars sort of just like aligned. And I was, so many people reached out to me to help them with their startups. And so I just kind of started consulting for a while until I figured out what was next. And one of those consulting gigs did turn into like a 5-year job.
Of course.
Real job.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And
that's great.
Yeah, and I did that. I was a hospitality consulting company, so again, in the food space, in the hospitality world, and I've also been a food writer for 15 years. So I definitely know food. I'm a cook, but not a chef. So that all helped.
That's really cool. And like I've sold products my whole life, but food freaks me out. I don't know anything about how you'd sell it, how you go about doing it. Is there? And I love, using your existing network, reaching out to surround yourself with people that know more than you do. We talk about that all the time, board of advisors.
Yes.
Are there some common mistakes that people trying to get into the food business make that, you were able to kind of navigate around to, to help your success?
Probably a lot, right? Including myself.
I would think so.
What I would say is one of the first questions to ask, this is after you really decide to move forward, know that you have the ability to do it, you have the finances to do it and all of that. Yeah. You got to decide, are you going to manufacture this stuff yourself? Are you going to have, are you going to have a cottage business and get the licensing you need for your own home? And sure. Be able to that's not the business I wanted. I really want to create the biggest and best baby food brand out there because our kids
you want to scale
it,
right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, folks, let's talk about protecting our businesses. And I'm not talking about buying a magic shield or hiring a troll to guard the front door. I'm talking about setting it up right from the start. Ever hear the saying, protect your assets? Well, keeping your business assets business and your personal assets personal, this is what our sponsor LegalZoom is all about. LegalZoom has everything you need to launch, run, and protect your business in one place. From forming your LLC to getting tax guidance, they've got it covered. And they make it so easy you won't even break a sweat. Forget wasting hours on paperwork at LegalZoom.com. It's just a few clicks and you're done. And with over 20 years of experience helping millions of businesses get started, LegalZoom is the trusted way to launch and protect what you've built. So skip the headaches and keep your assets where they belong. Launch, run, and protect your business to make it official today at LegalZoom.com and use promo code BBSHOW to get 10% off any LegalZoom business formation product, excluding subscriptions and renewals. And this expires at the end of the year, December 31st, 2024. So get everything you need from setup to success at LegalZoom.com and use our promo code BBSHOW, LegalZoom.com, and use promo code BBSHOW. And as a disclaimer, LegalZoom provides access to independent attorneys and self-service tools. LegalZoom is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice except where authorized through its subsidiary law firm, LZ Legal Services, LLC. So go check it out. And our thanks to LegalZoom for sponsoring this episode. All right, while you're here, let me tell you about my secret weapon, our sponsor, Notion. I use it with one of my other businesses, and candidly, it feels like having a Swiss Army knife for my brain. Imagine one app that organizes your tasks, tracks your habits, lets you collaborate, and even knows where you left that genius idea from 3 months ago. I know. And here's where things get wild. The new Notion AI is a single AI tool that does it all. Search across Notion and other apps, generate docs in your own style, analyze PDFs and images, and chat with you about anything. It's like having a superpowered assistant who never forgets a detail, never misfiles a note, and somehow knows exactly what I need right when I need it. Notion AI connects to knowledge sources like GPT-4 and Claude, so it's not your run-of-the-mill chatbot. It actually gets your work. It's even set up to search across Slack discussions, Google Docs, Sheets, making it the perfect one-stop hub. And guess what? It's seamless, flexible, and respects your privacy. Over half of Fortune 500 companies use Notion, cutting down on emails, saving time, and canceling unnecessary meetings. Oh, that sounds like a great idea. So try Notion for free when you go to notion.com/businessbrain. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/businessbrain to try the powerful, easy to use Notion AI today. And when you use our link, you're supporting our show. Notion.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Notion for sponsoring this episode. All right, Erica. So I was looking at what you've done here, and you wound up almost because of your 7-year-old son winding up on Food Stars with the Gordon Ramsay show. How did that happen, and what was that like? And you were still running your business while you were doing this, right?
It was it was the craziest experience I've ever had. Yes, I was running the business while doing that, as much as one can from another country. We filmed in London, and without your technology half the time. Yeah, they take it away. So it was very challenging.
Right.
But, yes.
How did that work? Right, because you're supposed to be isolated from the world, right? So
to some degree, we were able to communicate with our families, right? This isn't Love Island, where we're stuck on an island.
Survivor, right? Yeah.
So we're definitely all professionals that need access to our businesses and things like that. But they did take our phones and our computers when we were doing these challenges, so we didn't have access.
That makes sense. Sure.
Although I did use the production phone to always call my kids. I talked to them every day. But luckily, I hired someone in December. I left in February, but I'd hired her before any of this came to be, and she really kept everything afloat while I was gone. Not only afloat, but thriving afloat. She really, thank God, her name's Joanna, and I am the luckiest person in the world to have found her. But it was very hard because you're trying to, and I was the only mom on the show. One of the women was a mom, but her kids were grown, and they were
left
house.
Yeah, sure. Empty
so I
nester.
was the only one that had that kind of element to always be thinking about, and the emotions behind, being away I was gone for 2 months. I mean, that's a long time.
Right. Yeah, that's challenging.
So I mean, you had already run some companies before, but one of the common curses of an entrepreneur is not being able to let go enough. We convince ourselves that we're going to, we've hired somebody and they're going to do it, but then you wind up micromanaging them, or at least fretting about whether or not you should micromanage them. You put yourself in a position where that was simply not possible, almost cold turkey. What was that like? What was that part of that like? Was it good for your business long term to get that kind of separation?
It was good for the business long term because you can't pay for that kind of exposure,
Oh, that
absolutely.
too. That too. Sure.
So,
yes, of course. Yeah.
But how about you being gone from? Was your company forced to, take it to another level without you there every day?
Luckily, we did not have a lot of time to prepare because it all moved very quickly, right? And technically, we weren't allowed to tell anyone what we were doing.
Oh.
So I had clients, things like that I knew that would be contacting me that I couldn't tell them. And then how do you even explain? I'm going to be gone in London for anywhere from 5 days to 2 months. Because you didn't know how far.
You don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I may not have even needed to say anything, right? I could have been home in a few days.
A week, yeah.
Yeah, luckily, I did make it through all 10 episodes, so I was there the whole time. But that was a challenge in and of itself. So I was only able to share this information with my family, my immediate family, really, and Joanna, and that's it. And so it was that added some complications to it, but she was already very well versed in the business. She was totally up to speed. She had access to everything that I had access to. And that was even before learning about the show. So she was just extremely kind of tossed into this, the startup chaos, right?
Yeah.
And so I trusted her, and it really did work out. And I was so happy to come home and know that she had done such a wonderful job. And she was the only person. I also set into place that the only person for business I'm going to communicate with is Joanna, and she could then relay to others what she needed to. So instead of having people calling me and not having access and not understanding why, I just used her as my one point of contact for the business. And that really worked out well.
Oh, that makes a lot of, that way she can kind of field the real-time stuff. And if there's something she needed you for, that relay can happen on the back end.
And she had the production phone number as well. So if she needed anything urgent, she always had access to me. She and my kids and my parents, and obviously my husband. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's cool. Sounds like a great experience.
It was something. Yeah. My son is, I blame him / thank him for the opportunity. But he's Gordon Ramsay's biggest fan. And
that's cool.
Yeah, we watched Food Stars season 1, and he just said, "You should be on the show. You could win, mommy." And I'm like,
"That's great."
It wasn't exactly in my thought process, but he made me apply. So he watched me over my shoulder do it because I hadn't done it. He checked in months later. He goes, "Did you ever hear back from Gordon?" And I'm like, oh, I didn't actually apply. So he sat there with me, watched me do the application. And then I was the last one passed. I was like, they were almost done, if not done. And they moved it forward. And I was on a plane literally like a few weeks later. It was very crazy.
So at some point you'll get to you'll get to reverse roles when he goes to apply for college. You'll sit over his shoulder and make sure he does his thing. Yep.
Oh, I will. He knows mommy's moving with him too, and I'm gonna be like, I'll get my own room in the dorm. Don't worry, I won't like sleep in your room with you, but like I'm going.
That's true.
Well, good luck with that.
Thanks. Yeah, I know. He says it's okay because he's only 8 now.
Right.
But he'll change his tune in a few years. Yeah.
That will change probably.
I'll relish in it now though that he still wants.
It's perfect.
Absolutely.
I have a question about like structure. So are your I see you're at Amazon and you sell online and Thrive, and you get in other stores throughout the country. Talk about your workforce. Are you guys all remote? Do you have outside sales team, or you go through distributors? How does the business work?
All the buzzwords, all the CPG words. Yes, everyone is remote. It's Joanna and I are the two kind of holding down the fort full time. And then I probably have a team of 5 to 7 consultants at any given time, from graphic design to some digital marketing support and social media.
Nice.
And then in terms of outside sales, we do have a broker. But as the founder, it's like I can't help myself. I'm constantly looking at stores and sending in inquiries and calling and stopping in with samples. Like that's just what you do. And no one can sell like a founder. Nobody. Like no one has that fire in their belly like I haven't. And even Joanna, even not being the founder, has it. And so so I do have that, but I said to them this year, and this is actually, I guess, a piece of advice for anybody listening in CPG who has a sales brokerage, request to be at the meetings, let them do the work of booking the meetings. That's their job, right? They have these long-standing relationships with the buyers, but make sure you're at the meetings, because ultimately you are the only one that can sell the way that you can.
Yeah, you can tell your story. It's your baby, your thing. You're going to be the best pitch person, right?
Absolutely.
You're passionate about it. Yeah, I think that's great advice. It's fascinating. Yeah. I know nothing about this business. This is why it's very fascinating to me, because it seems, so weird and different. But as you break it down into these little steps, I love how you can achieve all this with a small team, great social media, great access, great storytelling like you have, and be able to talk about, what's going on and how it impacted your own kids. That's huge. It's right there for anyone that really can put it in and take those steps, have the discipline to see through and to use your resources. I love it.
That's the one thing, use your resources. People have their own, arsenal of resources that, I may not have, right? Or I have things that someone else. Use what you got. And I also, I hate the word networking. I think it's got a negative connotation, but the fact is, it's not networking. It's like community building, right? It's like, it's bringing people into your orbit and you offering to be part of theirs. Like, you're not just going and networking to get, right? It's a mutual thing, or it should be.
It works best when it's a mutual thing.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
And
Of course.
Law of reciprocity, right? It's like, hey, absolutely. I'm going to help you. You give away value to help other people, and it comes back to you exponentially, for sure.
Yeah. Could not agree more.
That's great. It's a great story. Yeah. What's the best way for people to connect with you, learn more about your business?
Oh, sure. The website, the global, GLOBOWL.com, or follow us on any social handle. It's the global on all of our socials. And you have my name on here, and anyone can connect with me on LinkedIn or send a note. I'm always happy to respond.
Amazing. That's great. Well, we appreciate you filling my head full of ideas. I'm not going to start. I'm not starting another business. but
I will say, someone told me, though, when you do start a CPG business like this, and they've had a lot of success in CPG and sold their company, you always have to be thinking 6 more months ahead. So don't get too comfortable after you launch. Like I launched my first 4 recipes. I'm like, yes, these are the ones everyone wanted. We're done. What's
You're not done.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's valuable advice for every business. So it's required advice. I think it's required advice for every business too. In CPG, you will die faster if you aren't thinking about what's next, right?
Yeah.
Like the repercussions of not thinking about that are things that you will see sooner. But I think every business, if you're not thinking about what's next,
right,
it's gonna end. I mean, whatever you're doing that is succeeding today will stop succeeding someday.